The trailer for Scream 6 has dropped. Scream 6 drops in March, and we got the first full official trailer. Look, Nev Campbell's not in it, and that is an issue. That's a major issue. But everything that I've heard, a lot of people were very skeptical about Scream 6, even when the teaser dropped. And everyone that I've heard has watched this trailer and gone, okay, they might be onto something. But I'm going to tell you all about it. We're going to break it down, okay? We're in New York, and we can tell that we're in New York because the kids that have survived Scream 5 are walking into a bodega. Now, apparently, we see Jenna Ortega in a bodega. It's fun to say. The first shot is in the bodega. Ghostface follows them in. He follows them in with a knife. One guy it's New York. You see weird things every day. He doesn't care about Ghostface. So he goes, hey, buddy, there's a line here. Ghostface stabs him up good. A lot of murder in the first 30 seconds of the trailer. Then the store owner, the bodega owner shows up. He goes, not in my store. And he tries to get Ghostface, but that's not happening. Ghostface stabs him up, takes the shotgun away from him, and right away, we see a different type of Ghostface. Right away, we realize that we're in for something else because Ghostface takes the shotgun and shoots the store owner like it's nothing with the shotgun, and then starts to stalk the kids from Scream 5 and some of their friends that are in that bodega. And we see, and then it flashes, the shotgun goes off, whatever. Titles flash, and here we are. Paramount presents Scream. Now, a lot of questions to be asked. First of all, the mask is dirty. So the question is, why is it dirty? Is this an original Ghostface mask that we have, for like a serial killer fan collected it? Is it just a Ghostface mask that's been around? Is it just some of the grit and grime of New York City? The next scene, Samantha, not a Samuel, is holding the mask. Now, this is key because this means, number one, they obviously survived the confrontation in the bodega. And number two, Sam has the evidence from the confrontation. Maybe this wasn't a real Ghostface, or maybe this is actually prior to the bodega, and she's holding one of the original Ghostface masks from, Ghostface haunting her in Scream 5, and somehow it's out of her possession, and then when she's met in the bodega by this Ghostface, then they have the mask. Who knows? We're speculating here. But Sam, of course, we find out in Scream 5, spoiler alert, the big reveal is that she's actually Billy Loomis's daughter. Billy Loomis, of course, being the original killer from Scream 1. So we've got Billy Loomis's daughter now holding this mask as the person who is now kind of the central final girl. Her and her sister, played by Jenna Ortega, of course. But she's the one, right? Which I'm sure if they knew what a big star Jenna Ortega was going to turn into, they'd flip that. But it is what it is. We are where we are. So we see this, and already we can start to speculate what's going on in that bodega scene. I mean, there's one possibility that it's Halloween, and there's more evidence as we go on that it's Halloween, and maybe it's just a guy robbing the bodega, and he happens to be wearing that mask. Doesn't really explain why it's so dirty. There's a lot of questions. Next scene we get to, we see the lady herself. This is Kirby Reed. Kirby Reed is, as it turns out, the final girl in Scream 4. Now, for a lot of Scream 4, she's kind of a red herring. We think that she might be Ghostface. It turns out that it is not. Ghostface is one of the film geeks from school and Sidney Prescott's cousin, played by Emma Roberts. This is Sidney Prescott's cousin, best friend from Scream 4. Now, in Scream 4, we don't know if Kirby lives or dies, but if you look really closely, in Scream 5, when they're watching a film review about one of the Stab movies, one of the suggested YouTube videos that comes up on the side of the screen is Kirby Reed, Woodsboro survivor, tells her story, and it's a thumbnail of her. So we find out technically via the Easter eggs in Scream 5 that Kirby did survive. She's not in the film, though, just that Easter egg. Scream 6, she's in the movie. Now, we don't see that much of her. Who knows what that means? Could mean that she doesn't make it. Could mean that she does, and they just want us to speculate. But I did notice that we didn't see a lot of her in the film. She does say we share a history. She makes reference to the point that, yep, she's been here too. And that maybe she's being haunted by Ghostface as well, as somebody who's, one of the rare survivors of these Ghostface murders. We go to the next scene. This is it. This is the one that you can pick apart all day long, that you can look at the close-up and you can see everything that is in this shot. What we find is we hear Gale Weathers' voice, and she explains that this is a shrine. What has been set up is they have found that someone or someones have set up a shrine to all of the Ghostface murders. And we see here, this, I believe, is Sydney's Emma Roberts from Scream 4. This is the outfit that she wore. You can see that blazer over here. That's the blazer that Billy's mom wore, who was the killer in Scream 2. You see that bloody white t-shirt. That's obviously Billy's t-shirt from Scream 1 that he dies in. The red jacket is the robe that Stu wore at his party in the first Scream. I would imagine it looks like that clapboard that's in the Detolf there from the Stab movies, the fictional movies that are inside the movie based on these crimes. If you look real closely past the white t-shirt, it looks to be the TV set that fell on Stu's head, which has got a lot of people thinking. Over on the side here, you see a lot of stage decoration from Scream 2, where the kind of climax of the film happens. Over here, you see Tatum's outfit. Tatum, of course, the Rose McGowan character. You even see over there, you see a mannequin who is wearing the Drew Barrymore character's boyfriend's outfit. In the original Scream, the first person who dies is Drew Barrymore's boyfriend. He is in the backyard, and he is duct taped to a chair with duct tape around his mouth. He's the one who ends up getting gutted in the tree. That mannequin is not only wearing his jacket, but if you zoom in, there's duct tape wrapped around the mannequin's mouth so they can reenact everything. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. You see masks over there. And then, of course, the big pièce de résistance. Pièce de résistance. In the back there is all of the Ghostface robes lined up. Every killer in the Scream movies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All 9 of the killers, because, of course, most of the movies had multiple killers, are on display with what appears to be Billy Loomis's Ghostface robe in the prime position in that big glass case. This shot and all the scenes in the trailer that take place in this room, I think, have all the Scream fans losing their minds. And as we're looking at this, right, we see Gale Weathers. She's talking. So she says, this isn't like any other Ghostface. And this is key. This is something that is really hammered home in this movie, in this trailer. They keep talking about how this is a different Ghostface. We've never had a Ghostface like this. Even here in this scene, for some reason, if anybody should not have a landline in 2023, it's Monica from Friends. It's Gale Weathers. Somebody who's been haunted over the phone. I don't have a landline, and I've never had a serial killer hunt me down over the phone. If I had a serial killer hunt me down over the phone, it'd be even more reason not to have a landline. But she has a landline. She gets a call from what sounds like the original Ghostface. And as she's going, and it's great, it's very self-referential, she goes, like 10 people have tried to do this before. It never works out well for the guy behind the mask. She's talking about all the killers that have happened in Scream. But luckily for us, they're using like something. It looks like there's like an f1.2 aperture or something on this lens because the background is super blurry.
You nerd.
and in the back, I've been doing a lot of research. And in the background, somebody gets murked. We don't know who it is because of that nice back blur, right? We don't know who it is. Even on the phone call. She goes, it doesn't work out for the guy in the mask. He goes, there's never been one like me. Again, it's like 5 times, 6 times in this trailer. It's pointed out. There's a different type of Ghostface. There's a different type of Ghostface. I'm something different, he says. Then we see this that we saw a little bit in the teaser as well. we see the subway scene. Now, the subway scene is very, very interesting. There's
Yeah.
it looks like there's 3 or 4 ghost faces in this car. Now, does this mean that there's an army of ghost faces?
Yes.
Does this mean, or are people in the subway just dressed as Ghostface for Halloween? Stab is a big franchise in the universe that we're watching, right? It's not like the Stab movies exist. So if you look at what's going on in this subway car, there are so many horror references. There's literally, if you look, there's a Jason Voorhees that looks like he's wearing the mask from Jason Takes Manhattan. There's a Freddy Krueger. This wolf mask is from the movie Creep. A great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it. This mask over here in the corner, the skeleton mummy-looking thing, is from Creep Show. There's a Babadook standing behind him. That, I don't know, what's that, Beetlejuice or something? Everything in this car, like Pinhead, look at right there. Pinhead is right there from Hellraiser. Every person in the car is dressed as a villain from a horror movie, mostly from franchises. There were 2 Creep movies, so that's a franchise. So maybe everybody in the car that's dressed as Ghostface is not in on the attack. Maybe they're fans of the Stab franchise. Don't forget there's been many Stab movies. Or they're all working together. The trailer ends with Ghostface attacking Mindy. And we don't know if Mindy makes it or not. It doesn't look good, though. And clearly, like, I would imagine with all the people dressed up that this movie is taking place on Halloween. Something that's been brought up many times. Every time a Scream movie comes up, and there's even a script for one of the Scream sequels where this is the actual plot. In Scream 1, Stu has the TV land on his head, and that's how he goes out. But we never get the body. We never see the full confirmation that Stu is dead. So, I mean, I don't see how you survive a TV falling on your head. But there have been many who have said, you know, what Stu's going to be alive. Stu's going to come back. Stu's going to come back. Stu's going to come back, right? He's the one from Scream 1 that goes, my mom's going to be so mad at me. It's great. Love him. Love Stu. One theory, and I think that this was even the concept for a Scream movie at one point, is if he's alive, first of all, if he's alive, he would have to be in jail. And if he's alive and in jail, why wouldn't somebody have mentioned that in the last 5 Scream movies?
Right.
Right? And if he's not in jail and he's just disappeared, why wouldn't somebody have mentioned in the last 5 Scream movies that he disappeared? Like, the fact that it hasn't been brought up that Stu's not dead in 5 movies feels a little retconny to me, that there's any possibility that Stu could be alive. Like, how could you justify the fact that nobody, we've seen all the characters, we've gone through all these movies, Sydney, Dewey, Monica, they're all in all these movies, and none of them have mentioned that Stu's alive. None of them have mentioned, yeah, we never had a body. Nobody said that. We've gotten so deep into the Billy Loomis backstory, and nobody mentioned, hey, by the way, how's Stu doing in jail? Ever?
Didn't he say his clothes or it was in that shrine or something that they showed?
His robe was in the shrine, yeah. Look, the stuff in the shrine would be very difficult to get. The TV that fell on Stu's head, the clothing that the killers were wearing when they died.
Who has access to all of that?
Who has access to all of that? He got all the robes, whoever this person is. They got all the robes.
eBay?
I don't know if eBay will even let you sell it, to tell you the truth. They got terms of services. So I can't say that it wouldn't make sense for Stu to be alive, but at the same time, if he is, it certainly would help get all that access. Here is what I think. I think that generally every Scream movie, the whole franchise, is about a commentary on horror movies. That's what it all started. It's self-referential. There's always somebody in the movies that's obsessed with horror movies. The rules that the killer always follows are horror movie rules. They spell it out. They say, we're doing these tropes. The killer is doing horror movie tropes on purpose because it is all about people who are obsessed with horror movies. And I think when the movie first came out, that was a thing, right? Horror movies are dangerous. This violent content shouldn't be shown to our children, right? But now, the most slap fighting is a show. Like, violence is no problem anymore. Nobody has a problem with kids seeing violence anymore, right? So my thinking is that this movie is not about horror fans like the others have been. My thinking is that this movie is about serial killer fans. If you look at what's been going on with modern culture, the fact that all these serial killers develop stands now, right? When Richard Ramirez was part of American Horror Story, these chicks were throwing themselves at him. We had Zac Efron doing Ted Bundy. Bay. I mean, come on. Evan Peters is Jeffrey Dahmer. Bay, right? People are standing these serial killers. People are consuming every bit of serial killer content they can get. What? You got tapes of him talking? Let's do a 9-part docuseries and just listen to all the tapes together. I want to hear more. I want to hear more. That's where I think that the shrine comes into play. It's no longer about movies. It's about the killers. And I think that there are maybe a group of people that have become obsessed with these killings and making sure that the killings continue. And that somewhere along those lines is where Scream 6 is going to land. And that's what's going to make it different. The whole point of this movie is that it's different. Yep, I'm different. I think that it's no longer about horror movie tropes, working in a video store. It's not about movie geeks anymore. It's about serial killer obsession now.
It's about society.
That's it. It's always been about society. But now, the horror movie thing's been done. Everybody knows all the tropes because Scream was such a phenomenon. The serial killer thing. What happens when you get too obsessed? That, I think, is Scream 6. I think that's where it's going.